What have you learned? You know, what have you learned over the last 3 years, 4 years? You went through, you was the eye of the storm for one time. I don't want to talk about the storm, let's just talk about what you've learned from it. Who am I sitting in front of today?
I have been through a lot more than I could probably speak on in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I don't use it as baggage that I like to carry around with me. You know, my history is my history. I've done some quirky shit in public and some quirky shit behind the scenes, and I've dealt with like the vilification of that. And I often didn't spend a lot of time with people. You can ask them. I would be in my house, dedicating myself to watching greatness. You know, that's Kobe, Bron, MJ, studying these positions that guys that are in the older generation have done before me. So I want to be just like them. Like playing with Bron and playing with KD. These are two of the best to ever lace them up, but within our culture, they are two true icons. And I had to fill in those shoes that were very uncomfortable for me because at that point in my life, I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was watching the 30 for 30 on a decision. A year later, I was drafted. into that Cleveland emotional train of the prodigal son, chosen one has left, and here we have this 19-year-old kid, I'm 6'2", I'm not jumping out of the gym. Emotionally, I was dealing with things that I had no idea
Had nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing. So when I took on that pressure and as my own, I started feeling like I gotta bring Cleveland back to the promised land. That was a solo act.
You went through that when you were 19. How old were you when Bron came back?
22, 23.
22, 23. With what you know now at 30, do you do anything differently during that period?
We could sit here for hours. We could sit here for hours going through the details, combing through it, but I think the greatest thing I would tell the youth is superheroes need help. You know, the leader of the team doesn't always have to take on the burden. And Bron took on crazy burdens. We feel, that's the biggest commonality we have as human beings is emotions. They may look different in how we express it, but they're the same. If you're angry, or you're sad, or you're going through stuff in your life, it is the same emotion that I would feel. It just may look different. I'll be honest with you, I was in those circles where the shadows were all around me, partying my ass off, relationships here and there, going through heartbreak, going through things that show the authentic, true you because somebody's actually putting up with your shit. Shout out to my wife. You know, she's actually putting up with all the drama and all the things that I thought I had to hide. And this person came along my life in the last 3 years and she shook my whole world up. And I started having kids, started calling myself a king, a chief of my tribe. My daughter started doing things that really shaped the way I wanted to see her future. And that is really what invited me to become a softie, more feminine in my approach. It's cool to be masculine all the time, but there's a balance like Kundalini, like the yin and yang.